From the Daily Mail, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, forcefully slapped ex-girlfriend for flirting with another man in booze-fueled assault after date to star-studded gala. This is a wild story. Now, Doug Emhoff being an abusive woman beater is kind of crazy to think about. I'm wondering how his relationship with Kamala actually is and if it's genuine or whatever, because you know what they say, man. You know, people who do these things, they don't change. This is an ingrained behavior. And this is only, 12 years ago, right? He smacked her so hard she spun around in France. Wild. One of her friends told the story. Now, I'll throw you this one. Clinton warns of October surprise that'll distort and pervert Harris. This is scandalous. Kamala's husband beat his ex-girlfriend? Now, they're reporting it definitively. Daily Mail is not naming the woman, who is a successful New York attorney, but will refer to her by the pseudonym Jane. A second friend said Jane, who had been dating Emhoff for 3 months, also told her about the alleged violence at the time. A third friend told DailyMail.com that Jane first told her in 2014 that she had dated Emhoff and recounted the full story of his alleged abuse in 2018 when Senator Harris was in the news for grilling Justice Brett Kavanaugh in a Senate hearing over assault allegations. The friends, who all asked not to be named for fear of retaliation by Emhoff, shared with Daily Mail pictures of him and Jane together from 2012 and other documents and communications corroborating elements of the story. Wild. Jane declined to comment. The shocking claims follow revelations by Daily Mail that Emhoff cheated on his first wife and mother of his 2 kids in 2008, allegedly impregnating his daughter's nanny, who also worked as her grade school teacher. Jeez. Emhoff admitted the affair with the nanny and teacher, Najan Naylor, after Daily Mail published the story last month. All 3 of Jane's friends said she also told them about a disturbing alleged incident during her relationship with the second gentleman, in which Emhoff nonchalantly admitted to impregnating Naylor. Emhoff told Jane that the nanny accused him of causing her to have a miscarriage. Wow. Brutal. This story's nuts. According to the friends, Emhoff did not say how he was allegedly responsible for the miscarriage, and he told Jane the nanny's claims were false. I think the implication here is that he beat her as well. I'm not saying he did, but that's the implication. But the second gentleman allegedly confessed to Jane that he paid Naylor a settlement of around $80,000 and had the nanny sign a non-disclosure agreement. It sounds like he beat her and then paid her off. Emhoff was previously dubbed by Democrats as a wife guy and a mensch, a Yiddish term for an honorable, kind man. He has also spoken out in media interviews about being an ally to women and against toxic masculinity. In a fawning interview on Sunday, MSNBC host and former Biden White House press secretary Jen Psaki told Emhoff that he reshaped the perception of masculinity despite his admitted affair with his daughter's nanny and teacher. I've always been like this, Emhoff said to Psaki. To me, it's the right thing to do, support women. These allegations strike to the heart of his benevolent image, promoted by the Harris presidential campaign. Jane's friend said she was given tickets by wealthy friends to go to the Foundation for AIDS Research Gala dinner, an elite charity auction filled with top celebrities and Hollywood executives, held on May 24th, 2012 at Hotel du Cap in Antibes. Is that Antibes? I don't know how to pronounce it. Antibes, near Cannes in southern France. I know how to say that one because I've heard of the Cannes Film Festival. Plus, in French, you just don't say the last few letters, huh? Attendees that year included model Cara Delevingne, Antonio Banderas, Alec Baldwin, Kylie Minogue, Kirsten Dunst. We get it. The friend said Jane brought her then boyfriend Emhoff as a +1. As one of Jane's friends, a top New York businessman, said he was at home getting ready for bed that night when he got an unexpected phone call. It was hard to hear because she was sobbing. She told me she was with a guy and he hit her. It was very clear that what she was telling me. She said she was with the guy, her date. She was at the Cannes Film Festival and he hit her. She was in the car with the guy at the time. I don't know what to do. I didn't know whether to call the French police. I couldn't get a hold of her after calling back. He said he still had a vivid memory of the troubling conversation 12 years ago. In later conversations, but pretty contemporaneous with that, she told me more about the guy. It was something like 3 a.m. They were trying to get out of there and they both had been drinking. There was a gigantic line of taxis. Jane went up to one of the valet guys, offered him €100 or whatever to get to the head of the line. She told me she put her hand on his shoulder. Doug apparently thought she was flirting, came over and slapped her in the face. Whoa! Wild accusations. Here's a travel itinerary, information redacted, of course. A May 17, 2012 email provided by friends written to Jane, one of her fellow attendees, gives the location of the hotel they stayed at. She slapped him back. My impression is that he had a lot to drink. She was sobbing on the phone afterwards, but she wasn't slurring her words. She told me that she broke up with him that night. A second friend, another female New York attorney, said Jane told her about the alleged attack. They had dinner. She said Doug was very charming. It was lovely. Then I believe it was around between 2 and 3 a.m. It was still raging, but she was wearing 4-inch heels and a floor-length gown, so it was time to depart. She said there had been no fight before he hit her. You would have thought it was a fairy tale trip. She put her hand on the valet's shoulder as she was talking to him. Doug comes up. She said she turned her around by her right shoulder, and she was completely caught off guard, and he hauled up and slapped her so hard she spun around. She said she was in utter shock. She was so furious she slapped him on the one side and then the other cheek with the other hand. The three friends said that as Jane tried to leave following the alleged assault, Emma forced his way into the cab with her. All of a sudden, the car was there, and they're ushering her into the car. She said she wanted to go back to the hotel without him, but while she was shutting the door, he forced himself into the car, which she did not want. I think she asked him what the F was that all about in the car, and the only thing she could really get out of him was that he thought she was hitting on the valet. Jane told me she was so embarrassed she couldn't believe he is the person that he is, and that it turned into this trailer trash moment. It woke her up about the self-delusion she was having, explaining away the teacher's story. She realized he was bad news. It was the first time she saw his ugly side. I got a clip for you guys. 12 seconds following the debate. Let's talk about what Democrats are representing here.
And so I think that the people who want the fist fight are the base of the Democratic Party. Democrats want to see someone get up there and give a knuckle sandwich to Donald Trump. That's what they want. But that is not.
I'm going to play it again. Did you hear the chuckle?
Someone get up there and give a knuckle sandwich to Donald Trump. That's what they want.
A slight chuckle. She says the base of the Democratic Party wants violence. They want someone to go up there and knuckle sandwich, which means to strike him in the face. And she makes the fist pounding sound with her hand, and then you hear a chuckle. Yes. Joy Reid said the quiet part out loud, says Natalie Winters. Democrats want a fist fight and someone to give a knuckle sandwich to Trump. They want violence. I don't tolerate this stuff. I can't handle this stuff. This is not what this country is supposed to be about. Tim Walz and J.D. Vance showed us decorum last night. And I will give Tim Walz the respect for being a kind guy on stage. He's a liar. I don't think he's a good person, but he was likable. And people say they don't want to accept this, but I'm not saying it's a good thing that you should support him for it. I'm saying that is his strength. He makes people view him as a likable guy, and you need to overcome that to win more votes. Recognize, steel man your opponent's positions. Stop pretending like Kamala doesn't have key points she's going to use to try and win. Stop pretending Trump is infallible. Stop pretending Tim Walz doesn't have reasons why they chose him. When people say Tim Walz flicked off, college students for heckling him, I'm like, he probably did not do that. I mean, it's possible, but likely didn't. Do not underestimate your opponents and assume that they're so dumb they can walk into these traps. I'll tell you this now. Kamala Harris, okay? It looks like the guy she's married to, because she's got to be, is a woman beater. And this story seems to be heavily corroborated. I've long talked about how you need multiple sources to confirm a story. And what do we have here? They did. They have receipts. They have numerous witnesses, secondhand witnesses who said, we were told this happened. It looks like Doug Emhoff struck a woman because he was jealous and drunk. But you know it. When they say the base of the Democratic Party wants to see a knuckle sandwich, when we see the far left marching through the streets, when they pull out guns, when they shoot people like they did in Portland, Aaron Danielson shot and killed by a leftist, or how about in Provo, Utah, where the BLM riders ran up and just shot a driver for no reason? I'm not surprised we see this. And every day they tell us it's the right that is violent. This is a scandal. No surprise it's coming out October 1st, October 2nd. I can't say I'm surprised to hear something like this. You don't hear anything about this like Trump. They say, oh, Trump said grab him by the you-know-what and all that stuff. It's like, dude, call that whatever you want. Call it crude, call it crass. But there's a big difference between the criticisms Trump's received and the violence that these people have been advocating for. They claim it's the right doing it. Yeah, right. The worst thing we saw from the right was January 6th. Bad? Yes. But was it a summer of love? No. Was it firebombing the White House like the left did on May 29th, 2020? No. They set fire to St. John's Church. The president was forced into a bunker. You can't compare January 6th to these things. You can criticize January 6th. We can call it out. No problem. By all means, it was bad. Not a fan of it. But we saw sustained ongoing violence nationwide to the tune of 30 plus deaths. How many people died on January 6th? Just Trump supporters. And then they lie on stage and say several cops died later. Yeah, unrelated. One guy had a stroke or something, and they're like, he died. It's like, he had a stroke. Well, the stress of the event, okay, I guess maybe. But on that day, it was nowhere near as bad as what we saw with the Summer of Love riots. So when you see a story like this, I say about Kamala Harris, I say this, man, I'm worried about this, but I am not surprised. So we'll wrap this one up there, my friends. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all your friends. If everybody who watched smashed the like button, we'd have 1 million likes. I don't know, we'd have a couple 100,000 likes. And also make sure you pick up the song Coming Home. There's me screaming into a microphone. The new song available on iTunes. If you want to send a message that we care about our cities and we are tired of the decay and the degeneracy, check out the song Coming Home on YouTube featuring Phil Labonte and purchase the song on iTunes. It's got to be iTunes because they're trying to lock us out so that we can't chart. They won't write about our music. The entertainment industry is ignoring us. So what we said was, okay, we'll make you write about us because we're going to sell music. We're going to chart on Billboard, and we have almost every single time except for one song. And then they changed the rules so we can't chart. Now they're saying, well, iTunes is the only one that matters. How much you want to bet after this week they're going to say, we don't count iTunes anymore either. Buy the song Coming Home on iTunes. Smash the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you all at 6 p.m. in the next segment.